Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Dude, season 2, welcome back. It's all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, lifestyle, so that you walk away with some value feeling inspired. The way that we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
Now, you're probably thinking, where have I seen Grant Harvey before? He's the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, and now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
Wait a minute, where have we seen this guy? Was it HGTV's House Hunters? And did you know that he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city?
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. Just destroying the competition.
Oh.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Miss Jordan, the spirit alchemist, is going to be here, dropping some knowledge on us, opening up that the third eye, maybe. And
always willing to learn. Does some good guest speaking, does seminars. Really, I can't wait to find out. A lot of times, let's talk about this. A lot of times people think that we have the show scripted, and we don't. We actually really ask the guests questions and see what they're all about. We don't give them a list of questions and they don't give us any back. We go, hey, we're seriously curious about your platform, and we just rattle away having a conversation. So none of this is staged.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, the spirit alchemist is going to come in and kind of just show us the way. Also, we're joined by Sadie Adams of Take Care LA and the World System Solution. She's going to be talking about the Phoenix platform. And again, this is going to be a mind-blowing episode. It's really going to open up some eyes, some ears, and some doors for some of the viewers.
Yeah, let's get off the cookie cutter type of subjects here. We're gonna explore the mind. We're gonna explore some I think world thoughts and world betterment is at least I know one portion is going to be talking about. So let's talk. Hey, so what'd you do this weekend? Before I get into common questions I get about the show.
We had a fantastic weekend. I had a sister in town, and we explored the Sandia Mountains. And, you know, it's so funny because when you live in Albuquerque, you grew up in New Mexico, you take the outdoors for granted. And, you know, we had the opportunity to go out and just explore the Sandia Mountains, not just the foothills. We got up into the trees, and we did like a 2-mile hike, climbed some elevation, had some great views, took the kids along. And yeah, it was nice. It was some fresh air. You get that cedar smell. Cedar Crest, man. If you don't spend a lot of time in Cedar Crest, do yourself a favor.
You spend a lot of time outdoors, man. Good for you. I'd spend mine outside.
Well, you think
of my
this
backyard.
Tan just comes out of a bottle? Look.
There's some sunblock, please. And then you have sisters that tell you to do the same thing. Jeez. Let's talk about common.
Let's talk about you. What have you been up to? You don't want to share? Or
We had a Father's Day. We went to Sadie's, and I'll make a small joke here. So every my brother's birthday is really close to my Father's Day, or it's on the same day. So it was my dad's day to shine. My brother's birthday wasn't on Father's Day, and we go, hey, where do you want to go eat tomorrow? And he goes, let's just pick somewhere bad so there's not a line. But we went to Sadie's, and it was excellent. And we told him, Dad, hey, let's just wait in line. And actually, they were able to accommodate us. So I had a great Sadie's lunch. It was chili's hot. The sauce was always real hot. That's what I like about them.
I'm a big fan of Sadie's. So in New Mexico, in Albuquerque specifically, we're very tribal when it comes to our New Mexican food. And I'm in the camp for Sadie's restaurants, which is because they don't believe in serving rice. Did you know that?
I didn't know they didn't serve rice, but how annoying is rice?
It's the worst.
And so just go, here's your pile of this, and I go, what about my meal? Oh, well, if you uncover it, here, we actually got a shovel. There's your sopapilla. Yeah, I don't like rice.
Yeah, so Sadie's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, potatoes.
What's your second favorite place to eat?
Oh, God.
For Mexico.
Oh, I was going to say Dion's? No, that's a good question. I don't know. Where's number 2? Parella's? Is it Parella's a thing?
I don't know. Is that your number 2? That's your favorite?
Los Cuates has the best salsa. I know that.
I like Los Cuates. That's a solid number 2 pick.
You in the front row, ma'am? Question? Oh, Mary and Tito's. Let's blow the lid off of Mary and Tito's. Now there's going to be a line out the door at Mary and Tito's for their red chili.
Yeah, but wait, we saw you guys.
We saw you guys on
UABQ. It just blew. Yeah, the doors blew open. So people want to know if we have picked if we have our wardrobe picked out.
So what you're saying is behind so many viewer questions. Let's be honest, people following us on the hashtag.
Yeah.
So people have been reaching out and they want to know what's really going on behind the scenes.
Like if we have our hair done, what do I use on my hair? Do we have a wardrobe? I don't have anything in my hair. I don't know what he puts in his hair. We don't have anyone doing makeup. We dress ourselves, you can tell. So we actually, if you want to have any sponsorships from maybe Eddie Bauer, maybe we'll go put on some clothes by them. But this is our stuff.
What you see is what you get. Yeah, I know. I look a little swollen on camera, dude. I'm sorry.
No, that's him. That's all him.
All
no makeup there, ladies. Let's see what other. They want to know why and how we met and why you do what you do and why I do what I do.
Oh, passion. It's a passion project, really. The funny thing is we've always had that same underlying connection through real estate, mortgage, and that's where we met, and that's kind of where our relationship continues to be, and that's the foundation of the show as well. So came up in working in the mortgage business together, and then we transitioned into this media mogul.
Right, yeah, just a conglomerate of output for the masses, most of it for free. So humanitarians, maybe. But the reason why I think Skip and I clicked, he's a very calm dude from his baseball years, and I'm a hockey intense guy, and we've always just kind of trusted each other. So that's kind of made this tandem happen. It was an easy fit. Anyways, that's enough of the
behind the scenes
hearts,
of UABQ.
Too tender. Of a story. So let's bring it back on the subject before we get too mushy. Let's talk about mortgages and real estate, and let's talk about our mortgage minute. So this mortgage minute concerns rate locks and rate floating, and this has become a big subject recently because of rates having a very volatile status. They've gone up and down, have been really roller coasterish. A lot of my clients have had an issue where rates started off at 6, they go to 7, and then they go back down to 6.5. They go, well, hey Grant, what should I do? Should I lock or float? This is probably legalized gambling is what's happening when you want to do a rate lock. They could go down and you missed out on them going down, but they could go up. So this is almost a gut feeling, as if you're willing to withstand rates going up or down. A lot of times people like the protection of a rate lock so they don't go up, but don't realize that when they go down, you're stuck with that rate, and that's what a pure lock is. So it depends on what your threshold is for rates going up and down, but I'll tell you this, there's a famous saying in my industry that says, chase an eighth, lose a half. Right, so you could be going for that just a tad bit lower, 6.5 to 6.375. Next day it hits a 7, and that's where regret sets in. So that's the difference between rate locks and rate floating. Rate floating, if you're a gambler, I say go for it, but you get some peace of mind when you finally lock that rate. There's your mortgage minute.
Dude, it's good info. Yeah, when it comes to rates, real estate, it's always better to say, oh darn than oh shit, right? So that's a good strategy to go.
By the time that hits the air,
here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Miss Jordan, the Spirit Alchemist, and then Sadie Adams will be our next guest, talking about world system solutions.
Yes.
And a couple of interesting talking points that we're going to dive a little bit deeper into when it comes to artificial intelligence, climate change, and what we can do collectively to make a difference.
Artificial intelligence and environmentalism is two of my hot buttons. And actually, we'll touch on that, but I'm a big environmentalist. In case you guys didn't know that, I'm huge, protect the environment at any cost. So I'm glad to have a guest that supports that, because as you know, I love my animals and I love our planet, and we only get one, and we better stay here and fix it. So.
And stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite. You're not going to want to miss this week's Skip's Tips. So stay tuned. Welcome back to UABQ.
Yeah, Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage.
Skip Adams, owner-broker of Sold by Skip Real Estate here in Albuquerque. And I want to welcome our first guest to the show is Sadie Adams, who is out of Los Angeles, California. Has her hand in a couple different things. Take Care is a spa out in LA that she runs, but also she's an ambassador for World System Solutions. And the mission is to create a conscious collaboration of technology, infrastructure, and education system that coordinate and empowers existing stakeholders, resources, organizations, and governmental institutions to solve climate change and avoid the inevitable collapse of life on this planet. So this is going to be a pretty intense segment. Please welcome to the show, Sadie Adams.
Skip, Grant, so nice to be here. Nice to be back in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah,
First
glad
of all,
to have you.
Let's
Yeah.
welcome your hat to the show. I mean,
Yes, thank you for styling me, Skip.
you always have such style as on point here with the beads. Who are you wearing today?
Thank you. Thanks for asking. I am wearing Sabas.
Nice.
Yeah, this hat I got in Oaxaca.
Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start right now. She's very well traveled, right? Would you say that?
I'm getting there.
Yeah. And I think that when I've met Sadie, I find that she's got some kind of world collectivity to her, and there's a lot of composition due to her, I would say, traveling and encounters with many people, because I think you're very open and easy to talk to. So I feel like she's had probably more people experiences than your average person. Do I sum it up right?
That is true, and part of that happened in Albuquerque. Not
Let's
a lot
bring
of people know that Albuquerque is an international hub.
Let's bring it back to that. So you're born and raised in Albuquerque.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, here's why we always want to bring people on that have roots in Albuquerque and then have gone out and experienced the world, and then to get their perspective on how our little corner of the Southwest fits into any place else in America. I mean, what are your thoughts on Albuquerque after being gone so long?
Well, it's nice to come back and rest. I think there's a lot of quiet here, a lot of time to reflect and be with nature, which is so nice. So.
You spend a lot of time in LA, and I know that LA is one of those places with a lot of energy and a lot of traffic. High price points on everything, and I think that some people find that Albuquerque is a little bit slower pace of life. Do you notice that change when you come back here?
Definitely. I notice my nervous system kind of kicks down a few notches, and gotta love those sunny days and cold nights.
What is it that you miss when you're in LA or in New York, and when you think back home? What jumps out to you? Is it Sandias, blue sky, obviously family, but what are your bullet points?
Well, honestly, I don't think about Albuquerque when I'm not here.
Yeah.
Well, you spent some time. So you came into town. You immediately went up to Santa Fe, and you said yourself you've got friends that are moving here, relocating up to Santa Fe, and just.
I was curious about that. I went to go interview them myself, and I really see how they are getting into the culture and their nervous systems feel nurtured. I felt that you would have to work so much harder because of the extreme conditions here. And they do say that they've got to use a lot more oils and eat a lot more ghee and take better care of themselves. So it kind of allows the space to drop into the self-care.
Okay. I want to roll into the platform we were talking about.
So we touched on Sadie. She's a steward for World System Solution, which is a collaborative effort to bring about change and awareness to the climate issues. They've got some fascinating takes on artificial intelligence and how to better assist our government leaders in kind of looking over AI and making sure that we don't get Terminator 2'd here, you know what I mean? So Sadie, talk a little bit about kind of how you got involved in World System Solutions.
Thank you. I'll start by just saying Albuquerque was amazing for nurturing me into Ayurvedic medicine, yoga, just keeping my mind open through the healing arts. And I was able to move to New York and also Los Angeles and support healing through the media, and just it was always an anchor for knowing people in that field and continuing education. So something in me always felt as though I wanted to be of service on a larger scale. And when the pandemic came, it allowed me to volunteer, and I volunteered full-time at a startup nonprofit called World Systems Solutions. And I worked there because I felt as though they were doing something that hadn't been done before, that's different, and that we need something that's outside of the box. So we're working with creating a conscious collaboration platform that's worldwide, and feeling as though conscious collaboration is the antidote to all of the world crises.
Well, to speak on that, we do have some video footage of kind of the platform that you are cultivating and putting together to bring about awareness. So we're going to roll some footage of just kind of your promo reel, just to kind of get a feel for of what your system and your solution is moving forward. So Mark, go ahead and hit play.
Increasingly obvious to most people that issues like climate change, pollution, clean water, and world hunger are getting much, much worse. Experts estimate that by 2030, the damage to our environment will be irreversible. It is further estimated that 1 in 2 children are now at high risk of the effects of the climate crisis. Fragmented, profit-seeking economic.
There's some real issues there, and I think that you guys are on the forefront of trying to do something different aside from political change. You're trying to go outside the box and more of a conscious collaboration. One other thing that's big in our industry right now is artificial intelligence, whether that's for marketing, whether it's for shooting video. But I think there's been some strides, and it's really starting to get into the forefront of the news. And what is artificial intelligence? Who's in charge of it? Can we unplug it?
No one is right now, which is a problem, but I'll let you get into that. But that's one of my biggest fears is, we have to make sure artificial intelligence, make sure it needs us. And we could get in a bigger scope trying to go for these mini targets and not realizing what it can do on its own. I think we've explored all the pluses, and I think very little people have examined the negative aspects or what could happen if we let this thing go rogue. So, and I know you agree with this. I'll let you talk about that. I think we see eye to eye on this.
Thank you. I think artificial intelligence systems are essential. I don't think we can handle this issue from a place that doesn't include everyone. And there are too many kind of stopgap, there's too many segmented, fragmented efforts that are not coming together and integrating, that they don't really know. There's a lot of competition for funding that gets in the way of collaboration. And artificial intelligence can support the knitting together and the collaboration on a large scale at requisite scales to meet the very many interrelated world crises that we're facing. We don't have time to create cabinet seats and to go through the models we already have. We can't solve a problem from the same state that we created the problem. We've got to work in a new way.
Well, to speak to that, I think artificial intelligence works at improves at an exponential scale, right? It can teach itself to learn and adapt, and so our government or our oversight doesn't really have the time or the infrastructure in place to offer oversight.
Nor the understanding, right? I mean, your average politician isn't about to sound in. I think it's important to have somebody weigh in that is in varying political beliefs or a broad panel to assess this, because I don't think I trust the legislators to be proficient in AI. It's going to take some yielding to a higher understanding of people, right? That's my impression. What do you think?
So talk a little bit, Sadie, about the Phoenix platform and how what is the groundwork that's laying out for AI and for what we can expect.
Thank you. The Phoenix platform runs parallel to the World Systems Solutions community, of which there are plenty of ways for people to get involved. And those ways of collaborating in various teams like food and water security or youth and women's empowerment, they help inform the coding of the Phoenix World Transformation Platform. The Phoenix World Transformation Platform is got 22 modules, so we can outline that in the liner notes. One such like climate scale, like giving people the power to be able to offset their emissions and start to take accountability for their choices and also understand our choices better. So one of the pieces about artificial intelligence and governance and ethics is coding. And we've got to start at that level in order to really talk about governance and what that's going to look like. So
when you talk about coding, it's the same thing. Like our Congress wouldn't know anything about coding or anything like that. So it's important to have people being on the forefront to establish coding and figure out what is a fail-safe or what is a platform for governance and keeping this thing on
and
the
deferring
tracks.
to someone that's with merit, right? And so like it would be. Do you find it to be intricate to defer? Have Congress defer to someone who's going to be morally responsible and a world thinker and with compassion, right? I think that might be the underlying feeling here, right?
one of the pieces that we want to recognize is that our government, the United States government, does have altruistic values, and we are hoping that the government will be on the forefront of this movement of governance for artificial intelligence because of that. You know, if we don't act soon, that will be out of our hands.
Yeah, so let's go back to Terminator 2, when AI take over, and nobody saw that one, Schwarzenegger?
Chris Anderson was an extra in Terminator.
Okay,
too.
well,
That's
what year was
something.
that? How old was he?
I don't know, but he just his role. His role. So let's talk about what your background into, or what made you dive into this, because I know you to be a compassionate person even before you took on this endeavor. What popped out at you with Phoenix with this,
The platform.
What was it? What was the bullet point where you went, yes, that's for me, I'm in?
Well, I've always wanted to do work with a non-governmental organization and never had the time because I'm a small business owner. And so, again, it was the pandemic that created the space. With the pandemic, I felt really concerned with how quickly things were unfolding and how rapidly the change was happening without any support for change shock. There's a lot of people trying to integrate what just happened. So when I had the opportunity to volunteer at World Systems Solutions, it really helped me with having an action that I could do instead of just being stressed out and depressed. That's why I wanted to underline that we have collaborative teams that people can go on, have community around these conversations, and not just disassociate.
I think one thing I can share with Sadie is I have kind of this world angst, and I start going, well, man, what about the polar bears, and what about the bees, and then what about the CO2? And I just get this worked up, overwhelmed feeling, and then you have people going, well, what can you do about it? And I go, well, I'm not happy with that. Like, that's not enough. That's just, it's too scary to go put away. I mean, let's put stuff off to the future. So I think it's commendable that you go, I'll get in there. I want to start. Well, you need some startup money, though, right? Let's talk about that. How do people help do this?
Well, to speak to it, you just hosted a fantastic gala in Los Angeles, raised a ton of money, and I think that's a great way for getting the word out there and getting the right people with the right connections involved. So talk about how we can get involved here. Is there a way that our viewers can donate or learn more?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to have grassroots fundraising. In effect, we do have an Instagram handle that you can follow. We have always fundraisers going on, and more importantly, in terms of getting involved, is the collaborative aspects. It's like learning more is a big piece. What are your interests? Who are you? Who do you know? Do you want to come start a team? We have a website with a collaboration form. It's really easy to click through, and it kind of supports a journey through the onboarding process where you can just learn. If you have 5 minutes a week, if you have an hour a week, if you have $5, if you have more, if you know someone that could be interested. Like I was saying, it's hard not to disassociate. And so for me, thank you for the kudos. It was really World System Solutions that I thank, because I had a place to process my stress around this 1 and 2 children being at risk. That's not just third world countries, that's this country too. Climate change isn't just about the weather. Climate change is about war. Yeah. It's about hunger. It's about people that are dying because they're too thirsty. And that's every day on this planet, and it doesn't have to be that way.
So what I hear you saying is there, the ways people can get involved is not only by donating, and again, we'll have links to all of your foundations, all of your GoFundMes in the show notes, but education. Educate yourself. If you have nothing to give, at least give your mind, give your consciousness, and join the collaborative effort to making a change.
How many people are involved? Is that a hard thing to ask? How many people have thrown their hat in the ring and say, hey, we're collaborating, or is that?
Yeah, name drop. We got some big millionaires here kicking in money. Let's go.
Thankfully, we've been able to collaborate with some people that see the vision, that have been waiting like I was for something that was different. So we have people across the globe. We have people in the Philippines, people in Europe, people in South America. We have collaborators in Africa, South Africa, Kenya, and Uganda. I'm learning so much from all of the teams when I have time to go on the teams, and I'm in the strategic partnerships team, so I'm writing letters all the time and reaching out to people I'd never thought I would talk to. So.
Well, it's cool. I think you have some really good insight to it, and we want to invite you to stay to the end of the show and hang out with our next guest, Miss Jordan, and kind of talk about her spiritual journey as well, because I think that you guys will be able to collaborate on some cool issues as well.
Yeah,
so,
it will be an honor. I'm happy to.
Yeah, is there any call to action, anything specific you want to call out before we transition into the next portion of the show? Yeah,
youth empowerment team is really happening in World System Solutions right now. We have a big event coming at the end of the summer. We're collaborating with youth climate action teams and really have some cool things going on. We recognize that the youth is the voice that we want to hear and we want to collaborate around and really empower, so that we can make some changes, and quickly.
Well, we believe that the children are the future, so let's teach them well.
Let them lead the way.
That's a good.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that my main takeaway, and anyone, is if you had the Cliff Notes version of this, I don't think anyone should feel aloof about this. This is pertinent to everybody. And if you got, even if you don't have, I don't have any kids, but it's just the right thing to do, and it will impact us rather immediately. And I've made speeches about this, about bees, and I'm a big bee guy, but that's all part of the systematic changes or I guess what we say preservation that may be needed. So I'm super pumped.
Yeah,
you're a great guest. This is everything I believe in. So.
Yeah. Again, Sadie Adams with World System Solution. We'll have links to all of your charitable contribution donation pages as well in the show notes.
Thank you for your interest and support. I really appreciate you inviting me on today.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course. So coming up in the next segment, Miss Jordan, the Spirit Alchemist, is joining us in studio to drop some knowledge on us, open our third eyes, and educate us about just, what she's been up to.
We're getting so deep this episode. I can't, yeah.
And of course, stay to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite marriage tips. No. It's Skip's Tips. Stay tuned. Welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
We're joined in this segment by Miss Jordan, the Spirit Alchemist. Miss Jordan is a spirit ascension guide and empathic healer. She's an expert in soul transformation and the mindset breakthrough. Jordan has established multiple signature events, including Become Your Truth, an unparalleled women's experience, and the Truth Unfolded Soul Immersion and Leadership Training. Wow, what an empowering episode. Miss Jordan, welcome to the show. Welcome to UABQ. Now, I know we had connected online just through our social media as well. So it's nice to know that we're crossing paths with all types of viewers and really just kind of tying together Albuquerque. I mean, that's the purpose of the show.
That's a good thing about reach. right? I mean, I don't think we have any particular guests we want. We just want impressive movement people that advance others.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. So let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, getting to know you, you're kind of a fascinating person. And just in the fact, born in Gallup, New Mexico?
I was born in Gallup, New Mexico.
And then grew up in Berlin.
I grew up in Berlin.
Spent time in Grants.
Spent time in Grant.
College in Albuquerque.
College in Albuquerque.
Talk a
Also
little
lived
bit.
in Ruidoso.
Oh, geez.
So I've been all over New Mexico, and then I've lived in Costa Rica as well, Mexico as well. So I've traveled like that.
We like the well-traveled people,
Yeah.
so then they can chime back in about the differences and disparities, or in Albuquerque. Let's start off there, though. Went off to the Caribbean, and then Costa Rica. What did you miss home a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you get a deep appreciation for New Mexico when you leave. And there's such a deep culture here and such history here. And also, like your first guest was saying, it's such a regulator for your nervous system. There are some really powerful vortex areas here. There's a lot of nature. And so, yeah, I always fly back home for a while. And then I venture out again.
That's good. Okay, so I like that it does a retreat here. And, there's something about Albuquerque that may have a calming factor, and looks like it took place. Now, the journey. So you went to University of New Mexico.
Actually, no. I went to court reporting college when they still had a court reporting college here. Yeah.
Holy smokes! I just learned something. Did you know that?
Say more about that.
Yeah. So there was before they just did tapes. Now I still think they have like 2 court reporters, but they had a court reporting college here. There were 40 of us who started, only 2 of us finished. And I went on the district court pool before I was even 21 years old. I finished with my bachelor's degree in court reporting, and I worked at district court originally.
Wait, so you push it a little, what's it called? What's the machine?
Sonography.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
And you made the cut.
I did.
God,
I didn't really have an option. My dad paid
assistant.
cash for college. I was finishing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what a good allegiance that was to him. So then you go, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Carpal tunnel.
Then I took a job as a adult felony parole officer, and I did that for a few years.
Okay. And did you love it?
I did love it. I was like 100 pounds soaking wet, and it was during a recession, so there were 2 of us. I had a caseload of like 98 adult felons at one time, a lot of sex offenders. It just got to be a little dangerous. So I quit and I went back to beauty school.
Okay.
And then I did that. I think we're just going to run through it now.
No, let's do it.
Hey, tell the story.
Left beauty school. I worked for Albuquerque the Magazine as their top ad executive for a little while.
There's a guy who knows about that.
What about the beauty school connection?
Yeah, so I went to beauty school but didn't do that. Went to work for Albuquerque the Magazine. I actually helped and co-started with Josh ABQ Live magazine. Then I decided to have a salon, had a salon for 3 years. Then I decided, I don't like doing hair, but what the common denominator here is helping people. And that's kind of how my first company, women's empowerment company, it was called The Unicorn Way. That's how it kind of got started, and then I ventured out from there.
Here, you know what a common denominator I find with people that or do salon or personal care is some of it is the talent. Most of it, I think, is the personality, right? I think there's a connection when people come for your services. They're expecting a certain type of exchange,
therapy.
right?
You have to be able to have
therapy,
a conversation.
Yeah,
And be
something they like about your soul that keeps them coming back.
Right.
And I think that actually helps you do well in your business. I think people who have bad personalities don't do very well in the self-care industry, right? Or a salon. So, okay,
We always say in our trainings at Take Care, it's about the presence you bring.
Right.
Yeah. So Sadie owns a salon or a spa in Los Angeles as well. So I think that you guys.
The beauty connection.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, we're gonna be friends.
I like this whole thing.
Women's
I
empowerment.
feel so calm this episode. Just take it away. Yeah.
So much
We're just sending you
collaboration.
energy.
I love it. Okay, so then let's keep the journey
So I started
going.
with The Unicorn Way. It was women's empowerment. That's when I started Become Your Truth. And then as my own journey kind of unfolded, I got into some deeper somatic work, medicine work, those types of things. And then it kind of became a different experience wherein I started helping celebrities, elite entrepreneurs as like their private medicine woman. And then I would also do the events for the general public.
So talk a little bit about being a spiritual ascension guide. I mean, for a couple of lugheads like us, I mean, how can we better...
I'm going to break it down so easy. My team and everybody, they have all these fancy titles. I don't like titles. I'm just a girl, and I let spirit run through me without reservation. So I open channel, and I help, I heal, I speak what I need to speak, and it's like I'm just a volunteer. All the titles are to make my website pretty. Yeah. So that's, and even Become Your Truth, my event, the entire event is channeled in real time, which means we don't plan anything except logistics. So when I enter the room, I get on the stage, and right then, Spirit tells me what to do, and it's usually a theme. The women that are there have usually all experienced something similar, and everything unfolds in that manner.
So talk more about that. What's the name of the event?
Become Your Truth.
Become Your Truth. And
So this is the theme for this one?
So every year is themed. Well, every year, what I meant earlier is like every year there's like a theme of like what the women have experienced, and that's kind of how it unfolds, like what I'm being called to like gift them or tell them or help them. But I also theme it. So this year the theme is allies. So it's Become Your Truth Allies. And it's about real friendship, real connection, women not backstabbing women like supporting women, and being a true ally. So that's like the theme that we're going.
Okay, so do you find that are you trying to get people to do some kind of internalization and say, am I the friend that I need to be, and do I have the friends that I need to have? Is that kind of
I don't know. When I was told like to name it allies, I had this vision of people having their own process and whatever it means to them. What I'll tell you is my best friend from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, young adulthood, motherhood, my friend from every season who was like my person, they're all coming. And they're not necessarily in this work, but they're coming like to show like this is what support systems look like. And so I don't know what's going to unfold this year. Every year's been different. What I will say is any woman that comes to Become Your Truth leaves profoundly changed. Profoundly. I've never heard anyone not saying my whole life elevated after this event.
What do you attribute that to? What do you think internally is happening?
Well, I think when I'm teaching, it's not about me. I just listen, I gauge, I see what's moving them, what's not, and help them just kind of peel back the layers of their own limiting beliefs and what's possible for their life. Yeah,
I would imagine if you were speaking to me, I would be visualizing my composition and what I have in place and saying, do these virtues match up what I have? And everyone might be different, but I do you think people might be doing some personal inventory?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I even have it in my contract that they sign when they come. You cannot make any major life decisions for 3 weeks after this event.
Is that right?
Yeah, because you don't want them to go home and be like, well, I'm leaving my husband, I'm leaving my job, and all these things without like really moving through the integration.
Miss Jordan said so.
Yeah, just motivating.
I mean, it happens.
I'm selling the house. We're getting 2 drafts.
We're moving to Ohio.
Exactly. No. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Keep them in Albuquerque.
Well, so talk about a little bit more about the event. Is it a one-day event? You said it's at Tamaya.
So it's at Tamaya. I do, we do VIP night Friday night. I have hors d'oeuvres and cocktails, wine, not cocktails. And I have a speaker and a performer on Friday night. And then the event's all day Saturday, half day Sunday. Saturday evening, I have a band, Dusty Low, come in and play a private concert for the girls. We have a seated plate at dinner. This year, the theme is all gold because your allies are like the gold in your life. So Saturday night will be all gold. And it's just a 2.5-day event.
Where did people first find you? Because you mentioned celebrities and such. I imagine it's an organic connection. Yep. Can you name, not a celebrity, but name a cool, give me a cool story about how this pairing came about with me.
Yeah, I was in an elite mastermind with a lot of top performers, and I won't share whose, but they had just a lot of connections, and it was all these businessmen, and there was real estate people, and there's attorneys, and these startups, and all these things, and then there was like one spiritual teacher, and that was me. And so, anyone had problems, like they came to me, and it's all word of mouth. I don't advertise like my event. I will, but. Everything is word of mouth. Every private client, has come from another private client who told them about me.
I think Skip and I won't speak for him, but I think when we're in sales, I think the reason why our dynamic is so good is we never sold anybody. Yeah. We just kind of said, here's who we are. And I think salesmen must love that. where they go, she's actually not trying to sell me.
Yeah,
and just kind of let it out there and see if people are magnetic or not.
Right,
and
exactly.
I think people are tired of being sold.
And then this isn't like this. The business is by default because I have a family to support, but it's my life work, you know, and that can be felt, and the results speak for themselves. So when I have someone who maybe is a high performer, but their marriage is falling apart, they have an addiction, whatever, and then their whole life transforms, it speaks for itself.
I think the lack of you being a performer is probably what conveys, right? I mean, I think a genuine person, some people have that gut instinct, and you can't, it's an intangible, but you go, I don't know what it is, but I like that person. I'm willing to listen. Right?
I'll buy a Porsche from him.
So we're hoping that comes through on our show, but I don't know.
Well, I had that for you. I wanted to hug you when I got here because I was texting you all morning, and I did get to change out of the throw-up dress. My baby threw up in the car.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's genuine.
I was like, okay, but I smell like throw-up. He's like, it's fine. I'm in hockey. It's fine. I'm like, but I got to change dress. So, yeah, I'm a twin mother. I have twin babies. They're 2.5.
Oh, that's so great.
And they really inspire me to continue. And you guys were talking earlier about, like, it's about the youth. And so when we're talking environment, we're talking whatever, like, what kind of people are going to be on this earth 100 years from now? And, like, what is their moral standard? Are they connected to spirit? Are they operating in a core value system? Mm-hmm. And so it's part of why I do what I do, because it's generational,
So who inspires you? Where do you get your energy from, right? Because I'm sure you're giving out a lot, and I never like to say people are giving, and it's an uneven exchange. It's great. Sometimes you have a lot to give out there. Who charges? I said, who pumps your tires? That's what I said.
Who charges your batteries?
Yeah, so I've had different spiritual coaches. I've had different business mentors, and they've been ever changing. And so some of the ones that have been really profound for me are Chris and Lori Harder. They kind of helped me get started, and I've been in a lot of their different programs and mentored under them. They're out of LA, and well, actually they're in Scottsdale now, but it's done that, And then I like Matt Kahn. He's like my favorite spiritual teacher. I like to...
Are you big into meditation, breath work, yoga?
Yes, and... I tell my girls, it's always and, not but. I have a hard time stilling myself, probably because I'm always giving. So I actually use an indigenous tobacco called rapé. You blow it up your nose, and it drops you into center. And so I meditate with the rapé. I got it from a page from the Yawanawa tribe in the middle of the Amazon.
Did you bring any today?
I have some in my car.
Okay, well, the next segment...
We're going to all do indigenous tobacco.
Someone else to do Skip's tips, which would be all...
Well, Skip might have a new tip.
Yeah, him and his wife came to live with me in Mexico for a year, not a year, a couple months, but a year ago when I was there. And so I really learned how to administer it. I serve it to my clients. And
that's great. You know what? So, and Sadie, maybe you can relate to this too. It's maybe sometimes it isn't. You probably get a lot out of these, and I know from talking to Sadie, I get a lot of talking to her. Whether she knows it or not, I get this good feeling and uplifting. But do you probably have some synergetic effect amongst this, right? The exchange between people. Do you feel like that happens when you do some of these seminars? You get to have,
100%.
Maybe you come out of there. You seem real positive and happy, but even on cloud 9, going, man, I got that.
I feel it like 3 months after. At the end of the event, the
3 week, do not leave your husband.
Don't go to Ohio.
At the end of the event, I'm exhausted. Yes. I'm exhausted because I literally just like open vessel and pour out. But then a couple months later, when I see the different women and the shifts they're making, then I'm like, oh, okay. All right, we're going to do this again.
Yeah, that's kind of for me, and much more delayed for coaching. When I coach still the hockey teams, I get that way down the line. So maybe, I wish it came in 3 months, but maybe 5 or 6 or 10 years later, they go, hey, coach, I always want to tell you. I'm like, all right, I was a little bit late, but thank you.
Yeah, you felt it.
That's great. Yeah.
I think that's where the alchemy piece comes in too, because it's that presence you bring, it's the expansiveness that happens within your collaboration that allows us to meet and to express ourselves and have outreach, and that somatic piece that you're bringing in, and how important it is to explore how we are in our bodies and how we relate to each other and what kind of relationship we have to the natural world and how our chemicals change when we're around each other. And so yeah, if you want to speak to the alchemy piece, I think that's so interesting.
I think one of the most interesting
perception.
things we find out is there's a lot more up to us than we think. And then when you find out that your problems or your environment actually comes down to you, it's a hard truth to swallow, right? Don't you believe that?
The thing that I tell my clients and all my girls is, there's this common misconception that we're like humans like trying to be spiritual. It's not it. We're spirits trying to be human, trying to express ourselves, understand ourselves through this human vessel. And so keeping that in mind, that like I'm spirit first and I'm using this as a tool to understand my sense of self is so key.
So there's probably some empowerment that I would say comes out of this for sure, right? If I had to be really dumb it down, empowerment is there's
empowerment, and then there's also looking at all your shit, looking at your triggers, looking at your stuff. Okay, why am I this way? Why do I think this way? Uncovering the traumas, So like this work is a journey, but discovering yourself is like one of the most fun things you can do because there's only one you, and so it's like
and that
figuring
can be pretty
you out.
powerful. Yeah, that's great. How many minutes do we have left in the segment?
No, trust me, we're
Mark
just cruising along. No, we're cruising along. So we're going to put links to your website, your Instagram as well, on our website as well. And I think that, this was awesome just to watch you guys kind of chat it up a little bit and be on the same wavelength and bring some positive energy to our show.
We did not plan this in a way. I mean, we knew Sadie was coming and I knew she was coming, but then it was kind of serendipitous to have
Spirit spoke.
Well, a real deep episode. We were due for one. We don't know if one will ever come back again, but we're in for it.
So, Ms. Jordan, talk about what we're seeing right now on the screen.
This is the graphic for Becoming Your Truth this year. Becoming Your Truth 2023 Allies. And if I'm being honest, I can't read what's underneath. An unparalleled experience for women.
We both don't have our glasses. We can't.
Yeah, everyone's squinting.
That's just me.
Oh, I thought that was me.
That's me at my Mexico home. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's me speaking on a stage in New York. An event called Unleash Your Life, and that's me in Costa Rica.
Look at just well-traveled and just bring in the hot energy today. So
are we the least traveled people on our show?
I mean,
you guys want to go to Costa Rica? You could do a live
episode.
Yes.
When do we go? We have to wait 3 weeks, though. Okay. Yes. I sold my house. What do we do now?
I'm in Ohio. What?
You guys are just digging into Albuquerque, so that's the piece you're holding right now.
Maybe Albuquerque's holding us.
Oh man, you never would have said that before.
Oh my God.
It's so true. And there's something that grounds you here. There just is.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you guys grounding us today. Miss Jordan, the Spirit Alchemist, we're going to have links to your website and to your event coming up this year.
Thank you very much.
And then again, Sadie Adams, thanks again for joining us all the way from
You guys
Los
were
Angeles.
fantastic guests. This is going to be one of the asterisks.
Yeah, but it's going to get real sexy in here. Stay tuned to the next segment. It's everybody's favorite. It's time for Skip's Tips.
It just went south. Welcome back to UABQ, our last segment. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, and I'm going to stay on the show. But what we do have right now, and that doesn't change, is we have the highly anticipated Skip's Tips.
Dude, just changing lives on Skip's Tips today. Skip's Tips, anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or in real life. All right, Skip's Tips for today. 3 mistakes home buyers make when shopping for properties. Number 1, overlooking the hidden costs associated with owning a home. Yeah, the home looks great, but does it need a new HVAC system, water heater? How are the appliances? These are all hidden costs that can catch up to you down the road. Number 2, ignoring the resale value. You never want to buy the biggest, most expensive, and the sexiest house on the block because that may have an impact on the resale value when you go to sell it. Maybe a little bit more difficult for you to sell it because you have to find that same buyer who wants the exact same big, sexy house that you wanted. Number 3, not researching the neighborhood. You never know who your neighbors are going to be, so take that extra step to check for sexual predators, criminals, and look at the crime map to see what exactly you're buying. So those are the 3 mistakes that home buyers can make when shopping for a home. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
You know, one thing I thought of was actually the roofs. So I went to go get an investment property, and you'd be surprised about how many owners don't know their roofs are bad. So you were talking about the condition of the house. The roofs can be a no-go a lot of times, and no one can be aware of it except for you as the buyer. And you go, hey, went on your roof, and it needs $25,000 work. You know?
Yeah, has anybody been on the roof lately? It's like, no,
No, we have rain buckets on the roof. We know about
Why
those.
do we need a roof?
It's a skylight. We just don't have any glass over it. The other thing what was I going to mention? No, it doesn't matter.
Ketchup chips? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we're out of topics here. Wednesdays at 9 o'clock.
Sundays at
Wait.
9 o'clock.
Wednesdays at 7.
Wednesdays at 7.
Sundays at 9.
Either way, you're going to want to stay tuned. Dude, this season's just rolling along, dude. Feeling good.
Yeah. Oh, you know what the other thing they asked us? Where's our set decorations? So if we can get a Japanese maple over in this corner, I'm all for it.
We're going to have a GoFundMe page for a Japanese maple.
From Roland's Nursery that's been out of business for 10 years.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This is All About You, ABQ.
You're watching You, ABQ.